With the success of the Runaways Draft Discord in the Nationals Monarch season, we're continuing that momentum with early prep for the Bright Lights limited format. Join the Discord now to be ready for on-demand drafts with the Runaways community coming to you soon.
Bright Lights is the new set coming out with pre-release events starting this weekend, September 29th. And it's the first set to feature just a single class, Mechanologist. When you sit down for your Bright Lights pre-release event, you'll be given 4 packs of 14 cards to build a deck containing at least 30 and at most 40 cards, not including any base equipment. Packs include 11 commons, 2 rare or majestics, 1 foil card that can be any rarity, and 2 token cards. Occasionally there will be a card in one of the token slots that features non-Mechanologist cards. These will not be playable at the pre-release. To help you in your Bright Lights journey, here's a brief overview of the set. Bright Lights features 3 primary archetypes of cards. Number 1, Boost. Boost is a returning Mechanologist mechanic, which allows you to banish the top card of your deck as an additional cost to playing an attack. If the banished card is a Mechanologist card, the attack gains Go again, allowing you to chain together multiple attacks in a single turn. Luckily, all of the cards in Bright Lights are Mechanologist cards, so you won't have to worry about the chance of not hitting a Mechanologist card, but be mindful of the cost of banishing an additional card from deck. Some cards in Bright Lights also care whether you have boosted or even the number of times that you have boosted this turn to unlock additional effects. Number 2, Evo. Evo is a new mechanic introduced in Bright Lights. For the first time, you can play equipment cards in your deck. These equipment cards can be used as pitch or block, just like any other Flesh and Blood card, but when you play them as actions or instants, they upgrade your base armor into new armor with better defenses or utility. Scrap is also a new keyword, which allows you to banish equipment or items from the graveyard as a cost for additional effects. Teklovossen can even take advantage of this cost for future plays. Number 3, Items. Items aren't new to Flesh and Blood, but Bright Lights takes them to the next level. With a hero and weapons designed specifically around gaining attacks from playing items, this card type matters more than ever. Many of the items in Bright Lights have Crank, which allows you to trade in their Steam counter for an action point, extending turns further. Bright Lights also introduces a new keyword, Galvanize, which allows you to extract maximum value from your items, even on defense. You can destroy an item you control to gain additional block value. Don't sleep on this keyword, as it is an integral piece to unlocking the potential behind this archetype. Here are some tips for when you sit down at the table and open your 4 packs. First, sort out all of the cards that block 3. You will probably want to play all of these cards. We estimate that you should get around 33 blocks on average in every pool. It is likely that you will always want to play the maximum deck size of 40, so how you choose to fill out your deck will depend on the hero you choose to play and which cards will be the best value for that hero. Sort the cards you've set aside and the remaining cards into the following categories based off of these mechanics: Boost, Items, Evo, Scrap, and Galvanize. When you are done sorting, you will choose from one of the 3 heroes, Teklovossen, Dash Database, and Maxx Nitro, based off of what cards you've opened. Now you're caught up, Ethan will give you a rundown of the individual heroes.
Thanks, Yanji. Across the board, Bright Lights will be a set that resolves in fatigue. Did you boost away your deck and fatigue yourself, or did you force your opponent out of blocking cards to fatigue them by damage? We'll share some tips so you can manage that balance for every hero. Teklovossen is a Mechanologist hero that reads, you may play Evos from your banished zone. Once per turn for 3 resources, you may play your next Evo this turn as though it were an instant. When you do, draw a card. His weapon is Teklo Leveler, which scales based on the number of Evos you control. If you have 1 or more Evos equipped, this gets once per turn 3 resources, attack for 2. With 2 or more Evos equipped, it costs 2 less to activate. With 3 or more, it gains Go again. With 4 or more, it gets +1 power. The big corporate bat of the set, Teklovossen, is the only hero whose weapon is not a specialization, so be aware that you can run Teklo Leveler in any hero. While untested, we think this is because your card pool could have plenty of zero-cost evos to power the weapon, but no blocking evos to eventually end up in Banish due to scrap. If you can't put evos in Banish, then there's no reason to play Teklovossen because you can't use his hero ability. So just be aware that Teklo Leveler can end up in any deck. Teklovossen is looking to play as a value deck, relying on evos to block, then scrap, then play. He wins the game by scaling the power of his singular cards with Evo upgrade, and then the consistency of a go-again high-value weapon. When deck building, Teklovossen is looking for these keywords: scrap, evos, boost, crank, galvanize. A standard play pattern for Teklovossen will be to play small hands, 1 to 2 cards where you can scrap, upgrade an evo, or weapon attack into a follow-up. He demands pressure due to his threat of scaling, so as Teklovossen, don't be afraid to fall back and block a lot if your opponent is reckless with their boosts into you. Dash Database is another Mechanologist hero that reads, you may look at the top card of your deck at any time. Once per turn, you may play a Mechanologist item with cost 0 or 1 from the top of your deck as though it were an instant. It costs an additional resource to play. Her weapon is Symbiosis Shot, which is an action to remove a steam counter to attack. Note that it's not once per turn. Whenever a Mechanologist item enters the arena under your control, if this has fewer than 6 steam counters, you may put a steam counter on this. Dash gains a second wind as Dash Database, the only hero to start at less than 20 life. Don't be scared, she can overcome that downside by gaining more value from items than the other heroes, but we do think that this might be harder to pull off in Sealed than it will be in Draft. Dash wants to play as another value deck, albeit differently than Teklovossen. Think about it like this. Her weapon might as well say that when you play an item, deal 2 damage. Starting your turn with Dissolving Shield, cranking it, then shooting Pistol for 2, and galvanizing the shield plus its defensive effect means you've gained 5 value on 1 card, far above the baseline 3. When deck building, Dash looks for these keywords: galvanize, crank, boost, scrap, evos. A standard play pattern for Dash will be to play a boost attack, drop an item from hand and crank it, or play one off the top, then shoot Pistol. Note that you can shoot multiple times with Symbiosis Shot, but likely not more than twice per turn, so if you have counters, use them. Maxx Nitro is the last Mechanologist hero that reads once per turn action for 2 resources, create a Hyperdriver token with 2 steam counters. Activate this ability only if you've boosted this turn, and note that this action does not have Go Again. Hyperdrivers you control gain Crank. Finally, his weapon is Banksy, allowing him to once per turn action for a resource attack. Activate this ability only if you crank this turn. When this hits a hero, put a steam counter on an item you control with Crank. The aggressor of the bunch, Maxx Nitro is the most susceptible to playing into boost and taxing too many cards from his deck. To master Max is to master weaving setup turns into 5-card plays to go over the blocking capabilities of the opponent. Because boosting away cards has to be part of Max's game plan, finding damage from non-attack actions and Banksy is critical to not fatiguing yourself. When deck building, Max is looking for these keywords: boost, crank, scrap, evos, galvanize. The ideal play pattern for Max will be between 2 turn cycles, playing a 3-card hand with a pump, a boost attack, Max's ability, cranking, and then Banksy plus arsenaling that last card into a wider 5-card play where you can guarantee boosting multiple attacks will land damage on your opponent. Remember, if your 4-card hand isn't anything special, blocking is still 3 value.
Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully these tips will help you in your next events. Subscribe and stay tuned for more content to help you level up your Flesh and Blood game. Stay healthy, keep gaming.